Good evening, students. Welcome back to our topic. That's lesson number 9, environmental management. And today we are going to start with a new concept present in the chapter, that is disaster management. So we all have heard about what is disaster. We know different type of disaster. I'm pretty sure in 8th standard you also had lessons in which you learned various type of disaster, various reasons for it, and what end result each and every disaster leads to. So let's start. Before understanding what is disaster management, let us understand what is a disaster. Can disaster be caused by only nature, or is also man a reason behind any disaster? Are there any disasters which are present due to man-made activities? Yes. If the answer is yes, tell me, let it be any disaster. What is the end result of any disaster? Is it a good side or it is bad? Yes, correct. All the answers which I'm receiving on the chat box are extremely correct. It's a very bad side. Why? Because at the end of the disaster, there is lot of destruction, there is loss of property, and there is also loss of life. Okay, so let's understand what is the meaning of disaster. So disaster is nothing but uncontrollable, leads to destruction and loss of life and property. This is going to be your definition of what is disaster. Disaster is nothing but it is an uncontrollable calamities. It could be single, it could be many, more than one, which leads to destruction and loss of life as well as property. When I mean loss of life, it is not just related to humans, it also includes various animals, plants, as well as your microbes. Yes, when it is loss of life, it includes all different type of living organisms. And when I have mentioned property, it does not only mean residential area. It includes all infrastructures which are present, which could include various buildings, apartments, bridges, dams, all those things which are made or constructed by humans comes in the property. Now let's move on to understanding and identifying few images in which you'll be able to see different type of disaster. Can you name the one which is present on the screen? Very correct. This is called as forest fire. Now tell me, is forest fire occurring because of any man-made activity or it exists naturally? Yes, both of them are reasons. Most of the time, it is because of any natural reason. But if humans are present in that area, if someone is letting even a small spark and any dried leaf can catch a fire, it can again lead to an entire forest fire. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, identifying the next disaster. Can you name it? Correct. It's a cyclone. It has very, very fast wind. There's a lot of rain. There's a lot of waves splashing. So that's a cyclone, which is a combination of all of these things. Again, it's natural, cannot be caused by a human. Yes. The next image. Correct. This image is stating an incidence of volcanic eruption. Okay. So understanding disaster management, now we all know that after any disaster has taken place, What is there finally? There's a lot of destroyed thing. There's a lot of loss of life and property. So we need to ensure that we are minimizing these effects of disaster. Therefore, what do we need to do? We need to plan things very nicely. So planning, having some kind of planning which will minimize the effect of disaster will be called as disaster management. Correct? So disaster management is the action implemented through proper planning, organized activity, and coordination. Now, I want you all to write this. What is disaster management? Disaster management is action implemented through proper planning, organized activity, and coordination. Be quick. Okay, now as we know that disaster management includes planning, organizing, arranging, and coordinating, is the work only done after a disaster has taken place? Or there is some planning and coordination which could be done before any disaster is taking place? Right? We all have meteorological department from which we get various type of alerts. So can we divide the entire disaster management into three different phases? One, which can be done previous, could be called as pre-disaster management. Second, could be all actions that could be taken to minimize the effect of disaster while the disaster is on. And third, could be actions that can be done after the disaster has taken place, which could be called as post-disaster activity. Correct? So when I'm saying pre, let me give you an example of dam. There's a lot of rainfall in a specific area. Through news, it has been highlighted that the dam might get overflowed. What are the pre-disaster steps? We'll ensure that the people living near that area could vacate that place. Yes, the people could be migrated from one place to another place. After the life, that means all humans and cattle have been migrated. The second thing could be even trying to move their goods, all essential things. Correct? Third thing could be preventing minimum amount of loss that could be causing to that area's infrastructure. Now, all these things will come under pre-disaster activity. During disaster, what could be done in case if anybody is present in that specific area at which any disaster is taking place, the government or the disaster management team will take the necessary step to save their life. And post-disaster, what is post-disaster things? This will include all things like providing help, basic necessities to all people who have suffered from him. If there is any loss of maybe all the property of a specific farmer, so food is provided, a temporary shelter is provided. Yes, we all have seen this. Such places have even took place in our own state. Right? So now in this particular slide, we are going to write all these points down, what all things needs to be taken care under disaster management. Yes, so first thing is prevention of loss and danger. Now prevention of losses means it could be again loss of life and loss of property as well. Second is improving tolerance. Now, what is the meaning of improving tolerance? Let's say any disaster is about to take place. It could be anything. It could be flood. It could be earthquake. The aim will be that the public will have minimum effect. That means the tolerance level of these people will be increased. Now, more of the time, people are also made educated. They are given proper warnings. They are also told that what could happen, please do not go outside. High alerts are placed. So these all steps comes under improving the tolerance of the people who are going to suffer from it. Providing relief from disaster, minimizing the intensity and extent of harm. Providing relief is to ensure that the people are not suffering much, minimizing the intensity. Jitna bhi takleef normal people are going to suffer from, the disaster management team will try to minimize the intensity of the disaster's harm. Preparation to face the disaster. If we are about to face any disaster, it is told to us in advance so that please have a proper storage of food, have the basic things at your house. We all have went through Nisarg cyclone in this particular monsoon itself just 3 months back, right? So we were all ready to face the disaster. Fifth, that means immediate action in the disaster situation. Sixth, assessment of damages and intensity of the disaster. Now this point is of the post disaster point. Now here is like, how will you analyze how much damage has caused, understanding the intensity of disaster, and finally seventh point is arranging for rescue work and help. अगर कोई जगह है जहां पे काफी ज्यादा इफेक्ट हो चुका है, then at that time help has been provided with respect to various means. Now all these are 8 points in which the last point is very, very important, that is rehabilitation and rebuilding. Now this is again a point of post disaster. That means after disaster, whatever destruction has taken place of people, of infra, of any property, that needs to be rebuilded and proper rehabilitation needs to be given. Now any person going through a specific disaster will not have that healthy mental state. So such people are also given counseling so that they could get back to the normal life. Okay, so these are your 8 points of disaster management. Now after disaster management, let's come to first aid to disaster victim. Now whenever we speak about first aid, what first comes to our mind? What is the first thing that comes to our mind? Obviously a first aid box, right? A well equipped first aid box will have all the medicines which will be required for any commonly occurring disorders or incidents. It will have your basic antiseptic solution, cottons, bandages, seizure, basic medicines for headache, fever, diarrhea, loose motions, for any motion sickness. Most of the people have the problem while they are traveling. Electrol powder or else Glucon-D, right? So all these things will be present in a first aid box, correct? But other than that, do we know anything about first aid? So we need to find out what are the ABCs of first aid after you have a first aid box. Okay, the first aid box medicines, all the things which are present in the first aid box could be used for all basic things where accidents are not taking place. Yes, and first aid is what basic treatment which we can give. So we are not going to treat anything because we are not doctor, but we will try to minimize its effect or try to reduce its spreading. We will try to give a little bit relief to the person who is going through a specific pain, or it could be any injury. Understand, we are not treating, we are just trying to minimize the level of pain which the person is going through. So all these things are called as ABC of first aid. Now ABC are different levels of first aid after you have your first aid box. Now what is that? Let's understand the ABC of first aid. Now first, A is nothing but airway, B is nothing but breathing, and C is nothing but circulation. I want you all to repeat. A is airway, B is breathing, and C is circulation. Now let's say you are going on a specific trek, okay? And you have seen a person who has fallen from a minimum height. The height could be 12 to 13 feet. And the person is little bit injured. Now you exactly don't know what is the condition of that person. Will you go and directly touch the person? No. You'll first try understanding that person, or let me call it as patient, is conscious or not, right? So we need to first check whether that person is breathing or not. So what are we going to do is, by focusing on airway, breathing and circulation, the first thing which we will be doing is, we will ask someone to ensure that the person is laying properly on their back in a relaxed position and taking its neck slightly lower so that mouth is wide open and there are high chances of the person breathing properly. No matter what could have happened, the person should always be in its breathing state, right? That's the preliminary thing which we should be keeping in our mind. Now, what if you understand that the person is not breathing properly? Now, again, for this A, B, and C, there are proper first aid courses available. Nobody can randomly go and just try on all first aid ABCs on any injured person. You need to be first aid certified. There are various organizations which provides first aid certificate, thereby giving you 1 to 2 days of training. Correct? And number one, whenever any person has fallen off, do not make any crowd around that person. We need to ensure that the person is getting ample amount of oxygen. So we need to clear the pathway first. Secondly, we need to check whether the person is breathing or not. Now, if you see that the person is not breathing properly, then what needs to be done is, we need to provide that person with artificial breathing. This is also called as mouth to mouth resuscitation. Now, this is not the way it is shown in all movies. Please, it's not the way how mouth to mouth is given. Now, after the person is given mouth to mouth at least twice, still if you feel that the person is not responding, that means the patient is not breathing properly. Which is the organ which is responsible to pump blood? Heart. So now it is time to ensure or to check whether circulation is happening properly or not. So what needs to be done is, only after the person is been performed with a mouth to mouth at least twice, then the person should be given a CPR. What is CPR? CPR is cardiopulmonary resuscitation. What is done is, the person is same kept in a horizontal position, lying down on the back. With the help of two palms, a pressure is given in the heart area, on the heart area, that's central and little tilted on the left hand side. And now the heart is pressed 15 times. This technique is also called as CPR in shortcut. I'm repeating once again. First, we need to check that whether the person is breathing or not. We need to ensure that the person is not covered with crowd, we need to give, clear the pathway, and we need to check whether the person is breathing properly or not. For that, we need to ensure that the person is lying on their back properly, neck straight, mouth is open. Next, if we feel that the person is not breathing properly, then mouth to mouth, that's artificial breathing, could be given. And then if the person is still not breathing properly, then CPR is performed, that is cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Now, after understanding A, B, C, there are still more things which we might face when it comes to first aid. What are these things? These are bleedings, fractures, and burns. Now, we all must have bled at least once or twice in our childhood, for sure. Now, whenever we start bleeding, what do? We add a bandage. This bandage is nothing but antiseptic pad. Yes, I am myself first aid trained, don't worry. So this is how an antiseptic pad looks like. For fractures, whenever there is any fracture, if it is for any limb, that means any hand or leg, what do? Is first we keep a stiff rod-like structure or scale so that there is no movement between the bones, because fractures pains a lot. And then finally doctor is going to tie it nicely. And now if there is any fracture with respect to backbone, the person is again made to lie down horizontal in a relaxed position without giving any pillow. Let's come to burns. When there are burns, there are various creams like sunburn which are being put on, and depending on by which material the burns are present, the treatment would differ. Let's say if it is burned by water, oil, or any other thing. Yes, Burnol is used. But still, there's also degree of burn decided by doctors. How much is the burn depth? Is it 50%, 75%? Based on that, whether to go for surgery or not is decided by all the specialists. Okay, now this is something new. For injuries like sprain, twisting, and contusion, the Rice remedy should be applied. Now let me show you first images of sprain, twisting, and contusions. Now this specific is an image showing you sprain in the ankle area. Twisting is in the next. This is contusion. You get bruises, जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं मुक्का मार, right? And this is nothing but twisting. Now, if there are these three conditions, then Rice remedy should be applied. What is Rice remedy? Let's have a look at it. R stands for rest. Allow the victim to sit in relaxed position. I stands for ice. Apply an ice pack to the injured part or area. Compression is after the ice pack treatment, the injured part should be massaged gently. E is elevate. Injured part should be kept raised or in elevated position. This remedy is called as Rice remedy. You can expect this answer as 2-mark question since it has got 4 good points. Even this question could be asked as personal response question. Yes, elevated means upward direction. Now these are other techniques by which an injured person could be held. The picture which you are able to see is called as cradle method. It is useful for children and underweight victims. Not all adults could be held in such a way. Carrying piggyback, that is you are going to hold the person who is injured on your back. It is useful for carrying patients who are unconscious, who are not in their sense, who are not able to balance their body, and who are not in the condition of walking. Human crutch method. Now this could be used if there is any part like leg which is injured and if the patient is not able to walk properly. If one of the legs is injured, the victim should be supported with minimum load on the other leg so that we are not causing much strain on the leg which is already injured. Moving on to the next diagram, which is showing Lifting method, also called as pulling method. The person is lifted from the hand. You'll be able to see in the right side image. And finally, from the base, other person is giving support. This is used for carrying an unconscious patient through a short distance. See, more number of people to help, the time required for the movement of person from one place to other place will be minimum. All right, we are moving to the next diagram. This is called as carrying on forehand. Now I want you to first focus on the right hand side image. There are two people who have made an interlock by tightly gripping on the feast, holding it, and on that chair. Now this is something which forms a chair like not like structure on which the patient is going to sit. Now most of the time this is practiced for all old age people, where they'll be able to sit properly and also get support by keeping hand on the neck area of two people. This is called as forehand chair. It's useful when support is needed for the part below waist. Moving on to the next, called as carrying on two hand chair. It is similar, but you can see here only two hands are present below for chair like part, and two hands are on the back, which gives the support. Useful for patients who cannot use their hands but can hold their body upright. So this method could be used for all physically challenged people whose four limbs are not in the condition so that they can hold on the people. Okay, but condition is that the patient should be able to sit straight. Now these are images, or these are methods how a person is used for rescuing by people belonging to fire brigade. Look at the first image. They are getting a grip at the back. They're ensuring that you are standing properly. The load is taken on the back, and this is how you are rescued. Yes, that's in the fire situation. And last one is the stretcher. In an emergency, if a conventional stretcher is not available, a temporary stretcher can be made using bamboos and blanket in between. Now this could be used again if there is any case where there are fractures on the backbone. Such time you cannot hold the patient by any of the cradling method. Only stretcher will be required if there is any injury to backbone or any vertebral columns area or any vertebrae. Right? So that's all. Here we end with the chapter. Thank you very much. Now we have completed with chapter number 9, that is environmental management.